Hey white people, how y'all doing? Welcome to the affirmative action portion of the show. Oh shit. Hey, I want to end racism, alright? You can clap for that shit. It's gonna be one of those kind of nights, huh? I want to end racism, but I want to, I want to have a huge forum. I want all the racist hate groups there. I want everybody to hash out their differences and just be done with it, I want the KKK, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, black kids ages 5 through 9. You gotta understand something, people. They're racist. You gotta understand something. Black kids in that age group, all they've known for their entire lives is that Barack Obama, a black man, was president of the United States. They were born into that. They think that shit is normal. My 2 daughters got so upset when Obama left office and Trump came in, and they started researching previous presidents. Let me tell y'all something right now. The look on their fucking faces was the same look old white men had when they found out Barack got elected.
Welcome to the Next Come Up Show. I'm your host, Dominique.
And I'm your co-host, your main man, Brian Black.
Today we have a special guest. He's a comedian. He has opened for comedians such as TuRae, Latice, and more. Welcome to the show, Mr. Brian Isley.
Hey, how you guys doing? How you guys doing?
We're good. Thank you for coming.
Appreciate you.
Yes.
So Brian, again, thanks for coming. And I can see that you enjoy doing comedy. You actually just laughing at yourself a little bit.
I do.
Looking at your work.
I think I'm funny.
You look pretty good. You look pretty good.
Thanks a lot, man.
So,
appreciate it.
No doubt. So growing up as a fan of comedy, as I'm sure that you were.
Yeah.
Which comedians rather were some of your inspirations?
I have a very diverse group of comedians. Of course, first and foremost, Richard Pryor. But Steve Martin is one of my favorites as well.
Okay.
Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy, the usual suspects. But then I add people like I love Chris Rock. I love Louis C.K. I know he's going through his thing right now, but I love him. Bill Burr. I just love a bunch of comedians, man. Different styles, different ways of approach. I love all kinds of comedians.
So what was it about some of those comedians? And you mentioned Steve Martin, for example, because I guess for our age group, for our generation, that might be a little out of the box for some people.
Absolutely.
But I remember Steve Martin. I'm old enough to remember Steve Martin.
Yeah, Three Amigos all day.
So what was it about Steve Martin specifically that inspired you, or that you even took from him in terms of your technique?
He didn't care. He just threw everything out there and tried to see what stuck. Like, he was just so adventurous with his comedy. He wasn't afraid to try new things, and that's what I love.
Right. So now, as a comedian going through your journey and climbing up the ladder in comedy.
Thank you. Yeah.
What did your family think about it when you first got into the industry in terms of being a comedian?
First person I talked to about it was my mom, and I thought she would have mixed feelings about it, being that she's a minister and all that.
Okay.
But she was 100% with it. She's been to all of my major shows, and she's been very supportive. Father is complete opposite. But it's all good though. It makes for great material.
Are you always funny, or you have a side of you that's serious at times?
I turn it off and on.
Really?
I can be funny when I'm getting paid to be, and then I have a serious side. But a lot of people that see me do stand up don't take that side seriously, and that's frustrating at times. But I'm trying to find a balance.
Okay, but have you there's a question that people wanted to ask me the minute they knew that I was gonna interview you. I don't know if you're in a relationship or not, but do you use your humor to attract women at times?
No, but it happens.
Oh, really?
It does happen, yeah. I'm actually married. I'm celebrating my 11-year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
On Saturday, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, but it does happen. I think some women are attracted to very funny people. So yeah, I'll get off stage and get congratulated from people, and a lot of times it's attractive women, but you know I curve it in a respectful way.
But since you said you're in a relationship for 11 years, do you use some of your relationship material sometime on set?
Yeah, most of my material is based on my life experiences, which includes my relationship with my wife, my 2 daughters, my father, my family. So a lot of the comedy and material revolves around just me, because no one can be like me. So I try to use my personal experiences to, you know, talk to people out there in the audience and try to let them see who I want them to have a picture of who I am when I get off stage. More than anything.
Do you sometimes talk to your wife or your kids? Hey, I'm going to say a joke about this. Is it okay? Do they accept
yeah,
it?
I go over material with my wife
Okay.
sometimes. Yeah, she approves some of it she doesn't. My kids, I'm daddy.
Yes.
So
You bring the check.
they'll find out about it later. If they're with it by the time they're old enough to listen to it, if they're fine with it, fine. If not, it was done 15, 20 years ago, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
And it's funny you kind of mentioned that. So has there ever been a time that you have offended someone with one of your jokes, whether it was somebody in your family?
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Yeah. The clip you just showed, that offends people all the time. It depends on the crowd. It depends on who's in the crowd. You know, that was a political joke.
Right.
So there's a lot of, believe it or not, a lot of Trump supporters out there. So they don't feel that sometimes. I remember I actually got booed when I said that joke in Atlantic City.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why the name of my album is called Laugh or Get Offended, because that's what they're going to do. They're either going to laugh or they're going to get ticked off.
And you mentioned that so speaking of the logo, I call it logo.
Yeah, it's called Logo.
The
yeah.
logo album, right? You just said that your dad wasn't a supporter, and initially, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But on that album, you actually told a story about him being at the Eagles game, I think it was.
Yeah.
So when he heard that, did he have words for you when you told him?
He couldn't say anything about it because it's a true story. It's
Right.
true. It's true. Everything that happened in that story is true.
Wow. And this is a family show, so I can't just repeat it.
Yeah. You're going to have to download the album and listen to it.
Now, in going through all of these things, you talked about people booing you and being offended, you know, at certain jokes. How do you handle the hecklers? How do you handle people giving you that type of negativity when you're on stage?
I love hecklers because that adds more time on stage for me. Because a heckler gets at me, I'm going to get right back at him. And I got the microphone, so I have the immediate advantage. So it turns out to be fun 9 times out of 10.
And outside of when you're on stage, or maybe even, you know, when that does happen, like, and people are coming at you with verbals now, not with anything else. You know, throwing tomatoes and orange peels at you, anything like that.
We don't get down like that. Yeah.
But how do you are you able to take a joke? Are you sensitive about when people come at you?
I'm not sensitive about that stuff. I mean, as a child, I used to be. Yeah, you know how kids are. Kids could be cruel, but over time, you would hope to develop thick skin. Because, you know, in an adult world, things get real out here.
Yeah.
You can't get upset and mad at everything. You just got to roll with the punches and keep it moving. So, yeah, I have very thick skin. I take constructive criticism. I get roasted by my friends all the time. We have a group of friends called the Dirt Bags who just roast each other. That's the dynamic of our friendship. We just roast each other. So, yeah, I've built up an immunity to being roasted. It's cool to me. As long as they can take it, it's fine.
Right.
Because I'm going to dish it back out.
Right. Well, your thing is never to set out to hurt anyone purposely. Is what I'm getting from you. You don't come off like that.
No, I don't. That's not the intent. I want everyone to laugh. But if they got offended, that means they paid attention to the joke too.
Yeah.
So if they were, you know, in the middle of the road, maybe they didn't pay attention to it, or maybe they just, you know, they don't care about it. But extreme reactions like laughing or getting offended means they heard it, they comprehended it, and they had a reaction to it.
Well, being a comedian, I believe, is not an easy task. So, what type of stressors that comes with your job, like? Because
Stress, terrible promoters. You know, bombing, of course. on stage. That's never fun. I mean, if you could turn the crowd around, then that's great. That's a triumph. But if you bomb throughout the entire set, it's not a good look.
Outside of the terrible promoters, because that was actually one of the things that we were talking about before you even got here. Right. In terms of you having had that experience, maybe not getting paid or just lying to you or saying something is not, something's not being legit. So how do you handle the stress? Say, for example, like when you bomb, if you've bombed before. I mean, I don't know, maybe starting out.
Times,
but how do you handle that?
Yeah, what was the experience?
I go back to the drawing board immediately. First of all, I survey that crowd again in my mind. What could I have done or said differently to appease that crowd? And then I get back to writing. I may change a joke here or there, change the arrangement of my set, put this joke here, put that joke there. And now I feel confident enough that I have enough material and the arrangement of my set is to where it needs to be. I have the confidence to go into any room and have a decent to a fantastic set.
Do you have a set place to start writing? Do you have a specific ritual place where this is where I have to start writing to have inspiration?
Yeah, I have my own man cave at my house, so I go there and write and think and meditate and do all the stuff to get my mind centered to try to create more content. So yeah, that's where I go. Yeah.
And take us about a show that's gone really wrong for you. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened.
Oh yeah, the Atlantic City show I did a couple years ago.
Okay.
It was at Atlantic City Comedy Club, and it was a very rowdy crowd full of Trump supporters. And I started off with that joke, and people got up, started leaving, started cursing me out, all kinds of stuff. So it was fun.
But you still, I mean, at least you stay till the end. Some people will storm out and be mad. You can that's good what you did.
No, I had to stay. I was trying to get paid.
Exactly.
Now, is there any kind of, and this may sound like a silly question, but is there any type of formal training to be a stand-up comedian?
I mean, people try to give formal training. You know, there's comedy schools and things like that, but I think everyone should have their own journey. I don't think there's any set rules or protocol to be a comedian.
Right.
You just have to be funny.
Now, what about you? How did you start out?
I just decided I was bored with my life and I wanted to do something different. You know, I was getting, trapped in the everyday life of being a father and a husband. You know, going through the motions every day, going to work, coming home, which is fine if you want to live that life. That's fine. But I thought I could provide something different. I thought I had talent, and I thought I could share my views with the world in a way that was unique to me. So yeah, that's what made me start it.
So that's interesting because now that's a whole nother conversation that you had to have. Did you speak to your wife about this?
Yeah, I did.
And what was her
She
response?
laughed at me. So I was off to a good start.
Yeah. About how long did it take for her to come around?
Whew, man, are you asking a tough question?
Oh, I'm sorry,
man.
I don't want to cry.
Oh man, this is laugh or start crying. Yeah, it took a while. It took a while. Actually, a couple of members of her church pulled her to the side and told her, you need to start supporting your husband in his work, which was wild to me because I wasn't doing Christian comedy at all.
Right.
So for them to tell her to do that, that was amazing.
Right.
And it was very touching.
Right. And how long, if you don't mind me asking, how long did it take for you to start making a living off of the comedy?
I started to make money around about a year and a half after I started.
In your mind, in your estimation, what would be about the average for a comedian to make an earning off of stand-up comedy?
That's a very tough question. I actually have no idea. I can only go on based on what I've been making, and it's fairly decent money, and I've latched on to management now, so they go hard to make sure that I get what I'm worth at this particular juncture in my career. As time goes on and I start to elevate more, then the price goes up. That's how it goes. Right. But right now, I'm very comfortable with what I'm making, and my management team is doing they're doing a real good job of making sure that I get paid to make people laugh.
Awesome.
So far, where is your favorite place to perform?
My favorite place to perform is the Center Theater in Norristown, PA. I love that crowd. Love that crowd. It's always a highly energetic crowd. They're always in there ready to laugh, and I kill every single time. So that helps.
Home field advantage.
Kinda, yeah. It's fun.
Is that where you go to kind of recenter yourself, or maybe in the past where you've gone to recenter yourself? Like, say, if you had a performance that maybe it was kind of
Absolutely. And it's perfect timing too. Every time I do a set there, it's like after I had a mediocre set or not so good set to my standards, and I go there and it lifts my spirits.
Right.
So it's fun.
And what other title do you own in the entertainment industry?
What other
Titles.
I'm also a host of a couple internet radio shows. The NBA panel, which is really taken off. That's hosted by John Weatherspoon, and I'm the co-host. And we actually cover the Philadelphia 76ers G League affiliate, the Delaware Blue Coats. We've also covered and interviewed Tracy McGrady at the Hall of Fame last year. We're going back again this year with Hall of Fame inductees Grant Hill and Steve Nash and Tina Thompson and a slew of other worthy candidates going into the Hall this year. So we'll be there at the press conference. It'll be on NBA TV and stuff like that. So yeah, the NBA panel is doing well. And I'm also a reoccurring guest on a show called Shop Talk.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
that airs immediately after NBA panel. So my Saturdays are pretty full. You know, I do that show and then I do Shop Talk. And that show just, you know how a barbershop gets, all the conversations in the barbershop. So we pretty much put it on. Yes, I feel you. We in the same boat. But Shop Talk, we talk about everything from politics to religion to relationships, you know. So yeah, Shop Talk airs at 1:30 p.m. on wildfireradio.com, and NBA panel airs at 11:30 a.m. on wildfireradio.com.
And is your fan base mostly men or women or kids?
It's a mix. I don't think any kids, you know, I haven't seen any kids come up to me yet and say, "Oh, I love your stuff. I love Logo." No, I don't think any kids have. But yeah, it's a mixed, diverse group. I actually had a conversation with a promoter not too long ago, and he was impressed and said, "You can work all kinds of rooms, and not too many comedians can do that. Your style is very versatile, and you can switch things up." So, and that's a testament to the people that have downloaded my album and come to me and said, "I like what you're doing." It's white, black, it doesn't matter. They all can relate to my work, and I'm appreciative of that.
If you would have the opportunity to go on tour, a comedic tour, who would you like to go with?
Chris Rock.
Okay.
I would love to open for Chris Rock. And he's no longer here, but Patrice O'Neal. Love Patrice O'Neal. So yeah, those are two comedians. And of course Dave Chappelle. Who wouldn't want to go on tour?
Of course. Yeah.
You know, that'll be fun. It'll be fun. Jerry Seinfeld too.
Oh yeah.
You know, because he's going to sell out everywhere he goes. So why not perform in front of a packed crowd? You know.
I was just thinking about Seinfeld episodes. I'm sorry, I had a flashback on Seinfeld. So, and you spoke about, you know, getting to a point where you were, you know, making real money and going through your, you know, your journey with your family and your wife. What advice would you give to aspiring comedians?
Keep writing. Write every single day. You come up with an idea, write it. And write it until it's funny. Write every single day. Get up on stage as much as you can. Because comedians have egos, right? And they feel as though once they get to a point where they're funny, they should be getting paid all the time. And that's just not the case. You have to hone your craft. You have to get better every single day. You have to get out in front of the right people. So get on stage as much as you can, preferably every single night. Write every single night. Get better every single day, and get lucky. But you have to put in the work to get lucky, though.
Right.
You know, if you're not at the right place at the right time, you're not going to get discovered. And in order to be at the right place at the right time, you have to go there, right? You have to put forth an effort to get up there and tell jokes in front of people. So A lot of people, you know, they slack, they get discouraged, they get lazy, they get complacent. But you got to keep working. You got to keep working.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a ton of work. Comedy is a lot of work.
And about you say, and you're saying in terms of being in the right, essentially the right place at the right time. When you were coming along, how often were you traveling and going to different places?
When I first started, I wasn't traveling much, you know, because I was an open micer, hitting open mics, trying to get better, trying to get on, trying to get people to see me. But you know, since then, I've been in LA, I've been in New York, of course, been in Houston, been in Chicago, Atlanta,
Awesome.
Atlantic City. So I've been around.
Okay.
And if a comedian asks you, how long does it take for a comedian to see, like, I'm very successful? You know, some actors say it takes 10 years to become a great actor.
Right.
Or to get your recognition. So how long do you think it will take for a comedian?
It all depends on what their personal goals are. If
Okay.
your personal goal is just to be a booked comedian traveling the country every single day, then and if you achieve that goal, then you're successful. If your goal is to be, you know, Kevin Hart, being in mega movies all the time and being a multi-millionaire, and you reach that, then you're that success. It all depends on you and what you want to make your career to be.
Do you want to do also a lot of movies?
No, I don't want to do. I don't want to act. I want to, you know, write, produce, and direct. I want to be behind the scenes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a production company already?
No, I don't have a production company. I would love to have one.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I'll get one now. Thank you. Thank you.
Hopefully you will soon. I guess you're going to the right track.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. So, so what are your future, like, shows people could watch? And
All right, well, first of all, download Logo, Laugh or Get Offended. That's the album. That's everywhere. It's on iTunes, on Spotify, Tidal, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Slacker. It's everywhere. So download that. My next album is called the Isley album. It'll be out October 12th. And I got a host of shows. I'll be at Stone and Key in Pennsylvania on August 31st. I'll be at Punchline Philly September 5th. And before that, I'll be at the Baltimore Comedy Festival Labor Day weekend.
oh, wow.
So yeah, that runs from August 29th through September 3rd. And then, like I said, the NBA panel will be at Springfield, Massachusetts for the Hall of Fame. And I'll be back in New York at Broadway Comedy Club October 13th and 14th. And yeah, go to BrianIsleyLive.com and look at more events and upcoming shows, and it'll tell you everything you need to know.
So I see you traveling a lot. You stay on the road. So how do you balance your family life and your work?
It's tough. It's very tough. But my kids are at an age now where they're starting to understand what I do, and that it takes time, you know, away from certain things. The good thing about it is I get to spend a lot of the day with them, especially during the summer when they're not in school. So I get to spend some time with them. But we know when the afternoon and the evening comes, Daddy gotta go. Gotta make people laugh. My youngest one is not a fan. She doesn't like it. She's 6.
Oh, okay.
So she gets a little angry when I leave, but I tell her I'm coming back. So you know, we've had discussions. My oldest, she's 9. You know, she's starting to be a teenager already. So she's really she's indifferent about it. She really doesn't care too much. But yeah, we have an understanding, me and my wife. This is what I do, and she's on board. So she picks up the slack, you know, and I pick up the slack when I need to pick up the slack.
Yeah.
So it works out fine.
That's great. And do you respond to people on Instagram if they want to reach out to
I
you,
respond
giving
to everything.
advices and stuff? Oh,
Yeah.
really? That's good. What's your Instagram name?
My Instagram, I'm at Brian Isley.
Okay.
Yeah. My Twitter is at Brian Isley Live, and I'll go on Facebook, search the Brian Isley Show.
Great.
And I will, you know, I also have my personal page on Facebook too, Brian Isley.
So you respond to everybody. Did you get some weird messages? Sometimes people are sending you some stuff like, "Why you guys are asking me this question?" That's totally.
Yeah, I
get
get a lot of weird stuff. Mostly basketball stuff because I have an opinion about everything. Being on NBA panel and stuff like that, and we get into debates and arguments about stuff like that. And then you have some people who say they support the comedy and stuff like that, and then you have the trolls who say any and everything,
Yes.
which is all good. I'm all for it. I'm all for it, and I respond to that too. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do. I try to be like, you know, an approachable type of guy. I don't want to seem like I'm standoffish or anything like that, especially when it comes to social media, because when you build that following, they're going to go download your album, they're going to go look at videos, they're going to look at the content that you put out. So I want to seem approachable to them.
Oh, that's dope. Well, we learned so much from you today.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate
No,
it.
thank you, seriously.
You need to come back after all your tour because we need to know what happened.
What happens? You need some stories?
Yeah,
Okay.
we need some stories from
All right,
you.
Cool. Definitely.
Just don't offend people. You'll be doing your job.
Gonna happen.
No, I know,
It's
seriously.
definitely gonna happen. I actually like that more sometimes because you get that awkward silence.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one laughing. That's dope. That's dope to me. But yeah, laugh too. You can laugh.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you again, hopefully in the next 6 months.
Absolutely. You will see me. Thanks again.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
I am Dominique Elise,
And I'm your main man, Brian Black.
and this is the Next Come Up Show. Until next time.